You're listening to the Roofing Success Podcast, a show created to inspire roofing contractors to achieve optimal success in their roofing businesses. I'm the host, Jim Moline, the co-author of the book, Internet Marketing for Roofing Contractors, How to Triple Your Sales and Turn Your Roofing Website into an Online Lead Generation Machine. I'm also the co-founder of Roofer Marketers, the digital marketing agency for the roofing industry. On each episode, I'll be sitting down with industry leaders to talk about their processes, the lessons they've learned, and how to find success in roofing. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast. Really excited today. Before we get started today, I want to say, hey, if you're listening, if you've been listening to the episodes, tuning in, please hit the subscribe button. Hit a like button for us, leave a comment. If you look in the description of all of our episodes, you'll see my direct line. Shoot me a text message. Tell me what you think. If you want to see any specific guests on here, send that over. We'd be happy to get that going. But today, I'm really excited to talk to Dustan Biegler of Apple Roofing out in the Omaha, Lincoln area, and actually, multiple locations around the Midwest that they're in right now. But Dustan and his partner, Marcus, have really built an amazing company and an amazing brand in the roofing space. And so really excited to have him on today. So Dustan, can you start off, tell the listeners a little bit about your business, how long you guys have been in business, how you guys got started, and those types of things.
You bet. Yeah, Eric, you make me sound good. So we started in 2011, so we're kind of in year 9 here of business. Our last 4 years, our average, we average about 25 million a year. We're doing about 15 roofs a day right now. I think we're going to have a really good year because we've had, storms in multiple of the markets that we're in. So we're looking for a good year, hoping to make it our best. Nice.
So how many locations are you in right now?
So we have 6. We have Kearney, Lincoln, Omaha, Des Moines, Iowa, Kansas City, and then Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh, okay. Nice. So you guys are heading south. You looking at retirement or what?
Everybody. I get a place, to go in the winter, but one of the things that I like about it is we do get a longer roofing season, right? So
definitely
flip-flops what happens in, our part of the country down to there. So I think there's some opportunity in that fashion for us to throw more resources at it, like, during the slow season here. But, other than that, it's I wouldn't call it a storm market, it's more of a retail market.
Yep.
And that was attractive to me because you start to avoid that roller coaster, right? So
yeah,
we're very much in the roller coaster in the Midwest because you've got your peaks and valleys for sure. Everybody
can be the peaks and valleys can be high, right? Like there can be some distance between those peaks and valleys sometimes. Yeah. So how did you get started in roofing?
Well, I actually throughout high school worked for a general contractor. So, I really grew up on the roof, and when I was 18, I just started my own company, actually at his kind of request because, nobody wants an employee. So he's, you're 18, guess what? You got your own company, That's really what I was doing. But did have some guidance, from him. And, I would say that there was a few, really key people along the way, that I learned from and, contributed to our success, right? But so in 2000 is really when I started my first company, went through a partnership, and then, got into Apple roofing with Marcus Kuhlman. We started that together in 2011.
Okay. So what was the, when you guys got started in Apple, what was what in creating the new company, what was the kind of unique selling proposition? How have you positioned yourself from the beginning and to now? How do you position yourselves in the eyes of the customers, and what makes you guys unique?
You know, I think that one of the more important things, that our clients see in us as a company is, and that we try to definitely provide, is value. We try to give a lot of value for every job that we do. And then, security, right? Because there's so many bad perceptions of our industry, I guess. And so we've tried to really stand out, I guess, as a safe choice, right? I mean, if you're going to go buy an item, sometimes you might shop on Amazon for security, or you might go to Walmart to take it back, or Home Depot, right? Versus buying it from some site, I don't know, Alibaba.
Yep.
What am I going to get my item? I don't know,
Yeah.
So, one of the most important things in acquiring a client is having a high degree of trust. So we try to establish that very well.
Yeah. People buy from who they know, like, and trust, right? And establishing that trust is very important. And I know you guys have done a great job in that. And so who's your ideal customer? What's your target market?
I would say that our ideal customer is definitely steep slope. That's what we really specialize in. And then I would say, either a lot of our business is residential, so homeowner. If I was to drill down in that, I would say that we tend to attract homeowners that take a lot of pride in their home, and don't mind spending a little bit more to be, secure in their decision, and, know that it's going to be there for the long haul, right? And
Yeah.
we're not going to, if they do, that we're here to back it up. And then, we do a lot of business to business as well. So a lot of multifamily and new construction. We have done more and more new construction in recent years.
So you have the multifamily, but also mostly steep slope, right? So multifamily, the new construction division, and then of course being in the markets that you're in, you have the insurance restoration stuff, right? What is that? Do you kind of separate those out as divisions in your company, or just kind of throw it all in one bucket? How do you manage that?
We really have kind of adopted like a mindset of, I guess I'm going to use Henry Ford as an example, right? Like Henry Ford developed the production model, right? Where everybody has a job and they get really good at it and efficient at it, And so I know that like a new construction account or a property management account or a homeowner, they've all got different like concerns, they've all got different needs. So we've really separated each one of our divisions in our company out, and made the salespeople in those divisions really specialize in what they're selling. So somebody that's in residential, can't jump over to a multifamily and an HOA, right? Because just different set of concerns. And same with me.
Yeah, different conversations. Yeah.
Yep.
So for each of those marketing, I guess each of those divisions that you have, it's gonna kind of be a unique set of marketing also. Is that?
Sorry?
in each of those divisions, then when you're marketing to a new, to the new construction, to the builder market, it's going to be a different conversation from a marketing standpoint than it is to that retail homeowner. What are you guys doing for marketing?
Well, we're traditionally, we do a lot of like relationship type marketing, right? And it depends on the division, but if you're trying to reach new construction, I think that we've found the most success in, going out and building those relationships directly with the builder. But when you're talking about residentially, you're not able to, you have a much bigger pool, right? You're not doing like repeat customers. So then, we look at things like, Google, we look at, the branding stuff that we do, activities, community involvement, your home shows, what am I trying to say? Like your networking groups, things like that. I think, you're able to reach more people. I mean, anytime you can find a influencer, I guess I'll call them, right? If you can influence, then they can pass your name along, right? Like, so if you're going to talk to a realtor, or whatever, they're going to touch a lot more people than you can, right? So I think that's a good thing. And then really Google's an influencer, right?
Of course.
So if you can do something there, then of course, same thing.
Have you done anything? Have you tried anything in the past that you're like, man, that just failed for us?
Totally. I mean, I would say, there's a lot of like paid lead services, that you can use. And I'm sure that there's some good companies out there, right? And I'm betting that every single like roofing, company owner can attest to like their email box being like full of offers and ads and, oh gosh, I'll do this for you and that, right? And unfortunately, I think I've got such a low degree of, like trust in that. Like,
yeah,
not saying it doesn't work, right? I'm sure some guys are having great success with it, but I really haven't even gone down that road because I know there's probably some really good people at it, but I know there's probably more scams in that space and, bad results than there are good, right? So whoever is at that needs to really separate themselves,
I call those diet pills, right? There are people selling diet pills. There's lots of people selling diet pills. We'll get you everything for nothing, right? There's, and that's just not how business works a lot of times, right? You have to put in the work. And so in that, like, you had mentioned, so I mean, I see you guys a lot in your branding around a lot, right? That's one of the things that stands out most to me with your company. And that, how did you guys kind of come up with that? And then how do you feel that works in relation to all of these, when you're out at community events and you're doing the home shows and things like that? How much do you think that branding plays a role in converting that, converting those people that see your brand into customers?
Well, I think branding is one of them long-term plays, right? But if you have a good brand going, I think it's very powerful. I mean, if you have a recognized brand, it makes your marketing cheaper, right? Like all of your marketing like efforts make a bigger impact if you have a solid brand. And I would say we're kind of a Nazi about our brand, right? Like, is it the right color green? Is it, I mean, I'll just use an example. So we had a Facebook post that was supposed to go out, right? And there was somebody in the background wearing a shirt in the photo that was Nike. And I'm like, you can't use that photo because like Nike is a strong brand, right? And like I don't need that in a post that I'm putting out, right? Because you're throwing two brands at people. You know what I mean? So, I mean, how many roofing companies have a manufacturer paying them $500 or something for their name to be on the side of their truck, right? Oh, we're GAF Master Elite, or we're Certainty this, or Tamco that, or ICO this, right? Like, we don't allow that. Like, we're like, no, we don't want your money. This is our billboard, you know? As soon as you throw two brands at somebody, it's taken away from your brand, right? So
Convoluting your brand. Yeah. That's really interesting. That's a very intricate approach to your brand, and making sure that it's Apple Roofing. This is what we're talking about. This is our message, and that we're going to make sure that everyone sees Apple Roofing, not Owens Corning, not ICO, not GAF, right? Not other brands, even down to what you said with the Nike and the logo, you know, Nike logo on the shirt in a picture, like that you're definitely getting detailed in that regard.
Don't underestimate the subconscious, right?
Yeah.
If you've ever heard like the studies that have been done in like movie theaters of like, you know, showing a piece of candy so fast your eye can't even see it, right? Or your brain register it, and how much those sales go up because of that. You start to understand like how important the subconscious is, you know, whether they're seeing it or not, they're seeing it, you know? So
yeah, that's great. I love that. What, you know, one of the things I did, you know, with you guys having those having multiple locations, how do you manage branding your company across those multiple locations? Because I know, you know, there's a lot of trucks on the road in the Lincoln, Omaha area, right? So that helps that branding. How are you doing that in Des Moines and Kansas City and, you know, Phoenix and things like that? How do you carry that brand over from market to market?
Well, it is not something you can do instantly, right? And it takes time and effort to do it. You know, it's not like the ability of, you know, paying Google and being at the top because you paid for an ad. You know, you can't buy your way into like being a known, trusted brand in the market. You can't do it. You have to earn it. And so, you know, I think that you have to make sure that your brand has to be like unique. And I'm gonna probably like use an example of, I'm in Nebraska, so we have the Nebraska Cornhuskers. So guess what the most common like color is on trucks? You know, company colors. It's red.
Red.
Everything's red in Nebraska because we're huge Cornhusker fans. Well, guess what? If I'm red, I don't stick out. I don't. Have you ever seen the picture of like the 1,000 umbrellas and you have one umbrella in there that's a different color?
Yeah.
Which umbrella do you notice in that picture, right? It's like the and every other one's red. And so like whatever, I think color branding is one of the most important things, you know, that you can do to like, I guess, leap ahead in how quickly you can establish yourself. So pick something that is unique and easy to identify, and make sure that you're like a Nazi about that color. Don't let any different shade be used or anything like that. Hell, I might be wrong, but I believe in it myself. So,
Yeah. I'm all about that too. And for people that are watching this on YouTube, you'll see me with the red background on everything, right? We have very consistent, we have a lot of consistency in that. And part of it is, you know, for us from a marketing perspective, it's when people are scrolling through their Facebook feeds and scrolling through their YouTube searches and scrolling through Instagram, I want to stand out. I want to be that umbrella that stands out on that feed. And that's one of the reasons why you do that. So you guys are definitely doing the right thing for sure. It's awesome. And it shows. It shows in the growth that you guys have had, over the years. And how many roofs did you guys do in 2019?
Right around 2,500, something like that.
Okay. Yeah. So, you guys are cranking, so that's, that speaks to the effort that you've put into the brand and developing that trust in those markets for sure. Now you had mentioned that you guys do, steep slope. Do you guys do commercial? Do you guys do any other types of, services, siding, windows?
We try not to. We do some flat, and we're growing that side. As far as siding goes, we do have a couple of like programs, like program work we do with insurance companies, that we're forced to do some siding through, but like otherwise, no, we don't. I mean, we try not to even do those because it's really like something that slows us down. So
what were your give me some thoughts on how you guys made that decision? How did you make the decision? Did you just start with, hey, we're only going to do, we're only doing asphalt shingle roofing, more on the residential side, then moved into multifamily, or did you start with a broader service offering and then narrowed it down to that?
Really did start out as a more broad service offering, and I think that probably, every entrepreneurs are kind of starting their journey, right? Like especially like a service like roofing, right? You have a limited time frame that it can be done in, so your mind naturally goes to what else can we do? There's going to be some downtime and things like that, right? So yeah, we started off doing it, and I've always done siding. I mean, throughout my entire life. I mean, when I worked for that general contractor, I was an installer, and we did a lot of siding, so it's not that, but in 2000, I think it was 15, Marcus and I really sat down and took a look at, okay, what are we really, really good at? What aren't we that good at? Are we really the best there is? And then looked at, scalability, time, how much time goes into each thing, right? And so a lot of the decision came from, looking at the analytics, within our business. But if you're in a storm market, a lot of the siding jobs that you might get are maybe one slope or one, I should say, elevation of the house. And there's always a certain amount of work that has to be done to go find the panel and everything else, right? So you might be doing 4 squares, and you're going to spend all these efforts trying to just match the panel, and then maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Are they happy? Is it your fault, or is it the insurance company's fault?
Yeah. And so you guys kind of made this decision, about 5 years ago now then?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So about 2015, about 5 years ago now. What kind of revenue were you guys doing in 2015 compared to now?
In 15, we were doing about 5.5. I think we did 5.7 million in 2015. In 2016, we did 27.5 million.
Oh, wow. Good storm year.
What? I'll correct myself, though. My apologies. 2015, we did 10.5 million.
Oh, 10.5. Okay. So really, and now you're kind of, at 2016, it sounds like you did about probably close to what you did last year then. Those were probably close years.
Really the last 4 years, we've averaged 25 million.
25.
So,
okay. Yep.
Oh,
so post the decision to really focus in on asphalt, shingles, steep slope, roofing as the main service and take away the distractions, you essentially doubled the company.
Yeah.
a little over doubled the revenue on a yearly basis. I think a lot of people get scared to do that, right? People don't like to turn down money.
It felt like that's what we were doing. I thought
Yeah.
maybe crazy to make that decision, right? Like,
Yeah.
how would you say no to revenue?
It,
You know,
that's the hardest thing I think it is for so many contractors out there. But you have to think of that revenue in terms of time also, right? There's a time aspect to that revenue, and what you could be doing in more effectively during that time is really important. In getting to that decision, was it a numbers decision? Did you guys just sit down and look at the numbers and say, hey, this is where our most profitable services are? Or
just numbers. It was also like customer satisfaction and things like
okay.
that. So like we've always scored really high on the roofing side, and then the siding side, we didn't have as high as scores. And I think there's a lot of reasons that is probably the case for any siding installer. But I didn't really think that we were the best at siding. You know what
Okay.
I mean? Feel like in roofing, I can say that. I mean, I'm sure most entrepreneurs do, but I think you have to look and say, hey, what aren't we the best at? Should we be in that space?
Yeah, that's a good one. What are we not the best at instead of,
The best, that's what we did. We were like, who's the best siding company in town, right? Let's connect with them and let's get these clients hooked up with the best.
yeah, that's awesome. It's a mindset shift that you have to make, but I've seen it pay off in multiple businesses, including our own, right? We only do digital marketing for roofing contractors, right? That's only what we do. I've done digital marketing for many years, and I've done it for multiple industries. And every time that we took on a new client, we had to learn their industry. We had to learn how people buy. We had to learn the right messaging. We had to learn how Google looks at that industry, how things, and it took away from doing a good job on a day-to-day basis. And that's where we were like, hey, let's focus in and just do the best that we can for the companies that we work with on a day-to-day basis. And that speaks to that customer satisfaction, right? That's what you can increase that customer satisfaction by niching down and focusing. So what, in doing that, one of the things that you mentioned a little bit earlier is you have, like different salespeople division, and how do you manage the training of those salespeople?
So that's something that we take pretty seriously, is the training of our people. Like, I think that's a huge part of scaling, is taking that training seriously and creating a process for it, because we've really been able to, we created our own training. I mean, I'm going to go back to 2008, I think, was when Marcus came to work for me originally, right? And when he came to work for me, he'd already had quite a bit of background in roofing. He'd worked for ABC Supply. He'd worked for me as an installer, like when we were in high school, right? Or when he was in high school. He was a year younger than me. And so when he came to work for me the first year, he was like, all right, I need to know everything there is to know about roofing, right? And then, of course, my training in 2008 was like, oh, hey, like come ride with me, listen to what I say, blah, 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 and climb roofs with me and I'll show you everything, right? Well, then we'd go into a house and, talk with the client and do a bit, and we'd come out and he'd go, you never told me that. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I didn't. And so really, things like that are the things that make you realize, like, hey, you know what? We need a formal training program and make sure we cover all the bases, right? Whether they remember everything instantly or not, hey, you know what? Some of it's going to come back to them, but then you got to have like continuous training. You know what I mean? So when somebody really comes on board with us, um, we're going to let them spend 1 week out with a veteran salesperson. And we didn't used to do that, but we do now because a lot of the people we hire are from outside of the industry, right? So during that time, they're going to start getting familiar with terminology and some of the things they're going to see on the roof, right? And then the week after that, they're going to spend in class training, you know, and they're going to learn exactly what fascia is, valley metal, drip edge, gutter apron, ice and water. You know, they're going to learn all the products. They're going to learn, you know, how to put a roof on. You know, we actually have a mock roof in our facility, and we go tear it off and we put it on, and we explain it as we go. You know, they need to know how it's put together. They feel much more confident walking in a house if they feel like, hey, I know how this goes, you know, and I think they do a better service by the client too, you know. So, and then the week after that, you know, then they're going to spend time learning their CRM and estimating and, you know, sales and things like that.
That confidence level is, I mean, confidence a lot of times is sales, right? You could walk into a, you know, if you have that understanding and you know that, you know, there's a couple of parts of that confidence, and you can agree or disagree, but I think that there's a couple of parts of it. One is understanding your understanding of what the customer is looking for, and making sure that you're explaining things in the best way possible, and being able to answer all of their questions. The other part of it, a lot of times, I think, is the confidence in the product that you're selling. So the confidence as a salesperson in Apple, I think, is you know, and bringing them through a systematized process like that probably shows them that they have a team behind them, right? That what they're selling is the top, you know, is a very high quality product, which also can lead to that confidence. What do you think?
I totally agree with that. And, you know, when you look at like, where do a lot of us go to learn how to sell or anything like that? You know, look at our sources. A lot of us are learning from seminars that the manufacturer put on, right? What's the manufacturer teach you? You know, they teach you to sell their product.
Yeah.
Which is like not the most effective thing for your brand, right? Like, not only that, but how much power do you have over the manufacturer, right? You really have the ability to sell the manufacturer? What if the manufacturer up and doesn't honor your warranty, right? I mean, do you have power over that? No, you can't sell that. I mean, you look at all these like manufacturing defects throughout time, and look at all the like class action lawsuits. Why did a lawsuit need to happen unless the manufacturer wasn't standing behind it, right? So there's not a manufacturer out there that hasn't had a class action lawsuit that I'm aware of. So my advice would be sell what you can sell, which is yourself and your company. You know, don't sell Owens Corning or GAF or, you know, ICO or whatever you're selling. Sell your company, and that's going to be the most effective, in my opinion, than going out there and trying to sell a product. Because guess what? You could sell one of these products, and the next guy can walk in behind you and go, "Me too," right? If
Yeah.
a product is that good, great. Can this guy cheaper? I'm looking for this product, you know. So, and the not to say that there aren't differences in products or, you know, the mentalities of companies, you know, how much maybe you value the relationship there because of the way that they treat customers or clients, or the leverage you can have with them, you know, about honoring stuff. But, you know, man, I lost my train of thought there.
That's all right. It's, you know, what the gist of it is you can't sell everyone can sell a GAF product, right? Everyone can sell an Owens Corning product. Everyone can sell an ICO product. Everyone can sell a James Hardy product, but it's the difference in the way that you sell your company versus the next company that can install the same product is that differentiator in between you and them, right? You're not making yourself a commodity.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, the commodity is the commodity. Leave it at that, right?
Yeah.
That's the material's the commodity. Let's leave it like that. But I think every salesperson and business owner should really have a honest ask themselves hey, why should you do business with me, right? How do you answer that? And is it a good reason? Or because I like you? I mean, what is it?
Yeah.
We all are going to say, well, because I'm the best, right? But how's that make you any different from the next guy that walks in the door and says he's the best, right?
That's right.
I need to be prepared to answer that before you walk through the door, right?
And how does the customer perceive your explanation versus the next guy's explanation, right? There's people buy when value exceeds price. So
absolutely. Most people, when they go shopping, they're not looking for the cheapest product. They're looking for the one that is going to suit their needs the best, right? Yeah. And not saying that every customer has the same needs. Some of them don't, and maybe they're not your client. But at the end of the day, put yourself in that shoe and you go shopping, and I really understand your mentality. If you could go shopping and you thought you were going after the cheapest truck, that's not, because if you perceive the value to get leather seats, then you're gonna pay for it, even though it might not be the cheapest truck. Now, does that cost exceed the value or your perceived value of whatever that upgrade might be? Maybe, right? But there's some point where it's not, and that's where we've tried to bring as much value as we can for the most reasonable price. That's why we buy so many things in bulk that are specialty items that would cost us a lot of money. We're going to be hey, we could sell these individually and put these on individually for the people that will pay for them. Or if we buy them in huge quantities, we can bring the price point down to this point and give it to everybody and just be a bit higher priced, right? The perceived value then exceeds the, right?
That's right. Yep. That's awesome. That's awesome. One of the things I heard you say there too is in the beginning, I asked you who your ideal customer was. And part of how you explained that was the person that was willing to pay for your services, right? To pay you a fair price for your services. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but that's how you get that person to pay that fair price is to show that value also. And then in going along with your branding, something that popped into my head is I see a lot of people brand themselves as discount, or and so the person that calls Al's Discount Roofing is looking for a discount, right? There's that's their value. The value in to them is the discount that you can give them.
And you know what? I'm not going to say that that's a bad thing, right? There's all different types of businesses.
That's right.
Just learn who your client is, right? Because Walmart is also a discount place,
That's
but
right.
it's successful, right?
Yep.
The biggest companies on earth. McDonald's, same thing. They have that saying, you can have price, quality, and speed, but you can only pick two, the best quality, or you can't have all three, is what they say, right?
Yeah.
Now, that's our goal, is to try to give them all three. And I think that should be any person's goal, right? That's how you value. But when you look at roofing companies, hey, somebody, somebody's got to serve the different needs that are out there. I mean,
Yes.
hey, I went into a deal where somebody's selling their house and they could care less what quality goes on it. And there's going to be like that mentality, like, I don't care what you're putting on. I just need the cheapest price, right? And maybe I'm not the right, company for that person or whatever, right? There's different people are in different situations.
Yep. Know your ideal customer. Know who your target customer is. Know your ideal customer. That's great. What do you guys do anything special on production day that, to kind of create that the raving fan out of that homeowner?
Well, I think that's really the spot where you have the ability to do that, right? Like, that's your delivery. And we do put a lot of effort toward that, but one of the probably newer things that we're doing is, we've been doing a lot of the catch-all system. And I really believe now that that's available, my gosh, why not offer that, right? I mean, it really does set you apart. It shows you care about the exterior of the home. And yeah, I know they're expensive, but so is, your reputation, right?
That's
I mean,
right.
how do you put a cost on that, or the cost on what you might damage, So I think totally something that that a company can look at, not only to brand, right? Because they do have the ability to like throw your brand on there, but the ability to show the customer how much you care and set yourself apart. Because at this point in time, most companies, right, like 99.99 still don't have one of those sets.
So with the catch-all system, and I know you guys are really really intense about your branding. Did you guys brand yours?
Yes, we did. Yeah.
Okay. I figured that with the amount of stuff that you guys do. What else do you do on production day that makes you kind of stand out? Branding wise, customer wise. What else do you guys do?
Well, I would say branding wise, we try to provide like as much like apparel as we can, that is green and branded up, and I mean, we even give out hard hats to any subcontractors that want a hard hat. They're here for the taking. I think they really enjoy, and it makes, even though they're subcontractor, it gives them like a sense of pride, like, that they're working with this company. I think they enjoy our brand as much as we do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's awesome. I think that's fun, man. I think it's making it fun and making it part of the process is awesome.
Yeah, I would say another thing too is like our felt is green. I mean, we try to color brand as much of everything that we can.
Yep. That very specific green, right?
Yeah, we try to get everything just as close as we can.
Nice. That's awesome. So, one more question that I had for you in moving into the multiple markets like you did. I know you mentioned that in Phoenix, you're thinking of that because it's not that Midwest, winter, take the winter off kind of market. It's more of a year-round market. How did you choose? I mean, I know you have the Omaha location. That's kind of a logical one, right? How did you choose to go to Des Moines and Kansas City and these other places?
Okay, so we really have a list of like criteria that we use, to like choose a market. But Des Moines and Kansas City were like natural choices. You know what I mean? Because of
geographically, yep.
Right, and we're going to continue to. I mean, there are more challenges, that you face as you, go to greater distances, but really we've been able to really minimize that. You even, I would say our first branch, was out in Kearney, Nebraska, which is about a 2-hour drive, from Lincoln. And even with just that branch, we started learning like what the challenges are that go along with having like a remote location. I mean, until we put or came upon on the problem and solved it, right? Like people felt, I think, a little bit like disconnected, from the culture that was, here in Lincoln. They kind of felt like they're on their own a little bit. Those are some of like the things that we discovered along the way, and we're like, okay, how are we gonna like overcome that? And also like it forces you into more process, because you don't want to do things like differently everywhere, right? You want everything to be the same, the customers to get the same experience. You're going to get those predictable results if you are, doing predictable activities, right? I mean, so it really forced us to take a look at our company and process it out. So I would say that starting to go into different locations was like one of the things that structurally made us so much, better and stronger as a company, even in our home location, right? Because it forced us to like process these things out. As far as like choosing a location though, I think that geographics is part of it for anybody. But I'll be honest with you, like as we continue our pattern of growth, I mean, I look at how much retail is in there, in the given location, because I like predictability over, the roller coaster like we talked about. I would rather have slow, steady growth than explosive growth one year and down the next. So that's important to me. I also look at, of course, like where's the competition, where isn't the competition, what's underserved, is it a growing community, what's in the community, what's the jobs like, what's the income levels like, things like that. I mean, you can get a lot of data from the MSA, and I mean, I always will drive to the location, spend some time there, get a feel for the community. What are the people like? What's the general feel, in the community? Do you like it? Are you gonna? I mean, most of that I think is really important to go get that hands-on in the community too.
Yeah. And a lot of times when when you're starting your company, it's just, hey, this is where we are located. So you don't put much thought into it, right? But when you have the ability to, okay, now when we're looking at expansion, and moving into these other markets, how can we do that in a methodical manner? Because now we get to choose, right? Especially in regards to Google from what we do on a day-to-day basis, it's very proximity based, right? So your rankings are going to be very proximity based. So if you put your office in the wrong part of town, your ideal customer isn't going to find you on Google because they're not going to be in that part of town. So things that people need to think of, but being methodical about it. I love that approach, and knowing, hey, we want to be in a more retail market. We want to try to develop that more kind of a more consistent flow of business versus relying on the hail to fall. It definitely is definitely a good thing. What's the greatest insight that you could share with our audience that's really helped you guys find success with Apple?
Make sure everybody knows who you are. I mean, sometimes don't worry about if you're doing it perfect. Just do it. I think sometimes we get head trash about maybe our method, and it makes us kind of paralyze ourselves into doing nothing. And don't worry about if you're doing it right as much as like if you're doing it. You'll learn along the way. You're going to learn more from the journey of doing it than you're going to learn from a book or listening to you or whatever, right? Like, unless if you can find a great partner that has like experience or can bring you something you don't have, then that's fantastic. I mean, that's one of the things we're looking to do is like partner with other roofing companies, in the nation, and if we can bring them some experience, or if they can help us, it could be a good synergy.
Yep. Those synergies are really important, and finding the person that can fill the gap in your experience, or fill the gap in what you like to do on a day-to-day basis. You either, a lot of people start roofing companies, they'll come from the, they may come from the production side, or they're coming from the sales side. So,
Totally.
finding that synergy, finding a partnership that might work in that regard, where, one person is managing production and one person can focus on sales. Because when you have to do both, it can inhibit that growth and make you stumble along the way. What you were talking about, that what is it, paralysis of analysis, or what,
paralysis by analysis.
By analysis, And so when you're overthinking everything on it, well, do I have to do this, and how do I do that? That definitely will slow things down. So everybody get moving, get some action in your roofing business. This has been another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast. If you would like to generate more sales through your digital marketing efforts, please visit roofermarketers.com and get a copy of the book, Internet Marketing for Roofing Contractors: How to Triple Your Sales and Turn Your Roofing Website into an Online Lead Generation Machine. Also, check the training section of the website for guides on everything from running effective pay-per-click ads to how to properly set up your Google My Business listing. This has been another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast. Thanks for listening.